Well, US Homeland Security has defended the fatal shooting of the US citizen Alex Pretty as a means of self-defence, a claim which many officials are disputing and instead calling for the removal of ICE agents from Minneapolis.
Federal agents shot and killed a man near Nicollet and 26th Street in South Minneapolis around 9 Saturday morning, following weeks of tensions over a surge in ICE enforcement actions. The shooting, which was recorded on video from several angles, was the third shooting involving federal immigration agents in Minneapolis this month. An agent shot and killed Renee Good on January 7th.
If the goal was to achieve peace and safety, this is doing exactly the opposite.
Like, what's happening is terrifying. It's very, very scary. You think this could happen to me. I could be filming a deportation and I could end up dead.
So today, federal agents beat and then shot multiple times and killed 37-year-old Alex Jeffrey Pretty, a U.S. citizen, a Minneapolis resident, and a VA nurse.
The Department of Homeland Security says Border Patrol agents were looking for an undocumented man wanted for a violent assault when Pretty approached the agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun, which he has a legal permit to carry.
This individual went and impeded their law enforcement operations, attacked those officers, had a weapon on him, and dozens of rounds of ammunition, wishing to inflict harm on these officers, brandishing like that and impeding their work that they were doing.
Video available right now does not show Pretty moving toward agents with a gun. Governor Tim Walz renewed his call for ICE to pull out of Minnesota.
And I call on all Americans to see the decency that this state is exhibiting and the horrific cruelty, unprofessional, absolute abomination that is passing for what these ICE agents are doing on our streets.
In a post, President Trump accused Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and Governor Walz of inciting insurrection with their pompous, dangerous, and arrogant rhetoric. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension says DHS blocked agents from the crime scene despite the state agency presenting a signed warrant. Saturday afternoon, the Hennepin County Sheriff and Minneapolis Mayor asked the governor to deploy the Minnesota National Guard to aid and reinforce law enforcement.
Stay in the US. Joining us is our analyst, Michael Ware, for more on this. Michael, good to see you. So, I mean, I've looked at that a few times and all the different camera angles and all of that everyone else has picked through. And it does seem as though the pictures tell a different story to the ones the authorities are describing.
That would appear so. And that's certainly the view of the Minnesota governor, who basically said, the federal government is asking you not to believe what you're seeing with your own eyes on these videos. Because as we heard from that report, originally the government, the administration came out and said this 37-year-old nurse at a Veterans Affairs facility came out brandishing a 9mm pistol, threatening the lives of these federal officers, and that he went there with an intent to kill and harm them. The videos are not bearing that out. In fact, the government's line or the department's line is unraveling as quick as you can blink. Because what the video's showing is multiples, and you can see them bit by bit if you watch them forensically. This man does have a pistol in a holster in his hip, but he's holding up his phone, filming agents attacking or pushing away a woman protester, who he then goes in to help. When he helps her, he gets pepper sprayed, they pile on him, they're bashing him. Then one officer, you can see on a video, pulls the pistol out of the man's holster and takes it away. That's when we hear about 10 shots. So, yeah, the videos are not backing up the government's story, the federal government's story, and the state governor is calling this an inflection point for America.
You know, open carry is something that we're not familiar with here, but it is legal in the Twin Cities. But here's my thought. If you take a weapon to a heated protest, though, Are you asking for trouble? Having been to some of those protests in the US where the coppers mean business, right? Things happen very fast. They can escalate very fast. But if you've got a gun on your hip, are you asking for trouble when split-second decisions are made?
Well, it's certainly not something that I would do, that I would take a weapon to a protest. But we don't know how spontaneous this was. He may walk around with that all day, every day, and just happen to see this event. So we don't know that, because there's so much we don't know. And what the state government is saying is that the shooters are investigating themselves. Department of Homeland Security says, we're going to investigate this, no one else. We'll just look at ourselves. Whereas normally local, state or city law enforcement begins these investigations. Now, the local police went to the scene to investigate, and the Border Patrol agents wouldn't let the local police onto the scene. So they went to a local court, got an order that said that these police should be allowed to see the scene. They were still denied. So they went to the federal court, and there's going to be a hearing tomorrow. But so there was dueling presses by the Minnesota governor and the Border Patrol agents at the exact same time. And they were arguing dueling narratives. One says that he was committing a felony. The other, the chief of police there, says he was exercising his First and Second Amendment right.
Yeah, no, we did run part of that a little earlier in the program. They were up at the same time, and we swung from one to the other and did notice that as well, Michael. Just a final point, though, when you say it's an inflection point, or when others saying it's an inflection point, what do they mean by that? I mean, Donald Trump's not going to change course, is he?
Well, no, but we have seen him change course under intense pressure, particularly from his base. And I have to tell you this, what the polls here are showing, for what it's worth, is that whilst, many people still support immigration reform and tougher immigration policies, almost 2/3 of Americans, including Republicans, do not support these kind of operations or the way that President Trump is trying to enforce his policy. So, they may be doing more damage to themselves, and the inflection point could be that these are raising such tensions that this is going to foment either more violence or certainly creating more division. As the mayor of Minneapolis said, as we saw Chicago, Portland, here in Los Angeles were the precursors to Minneapolis. Minneapolis, America, is a precursor to what's coming next to where you are.
Okay.